Hi, everybody. This is Lee, and I'm talking about the Justice Democrats. They've been sending out notices, and so has brand new Congress, of the people that are making the initial nomination phase of their plan to unseat incumbents of the major parties, which is a fine goal. I made a video earlier saying, well, I don't know if it can be done. It's been attempted for 40 to 50 years to reform primarily the Democratic Party. I guess many people see the Republican Party as beyond hope, but hope remains apparently for the Democratic Party. People want to reform it. And I said, I don't know. It's been tried and it's been failed. And unless there's something different, how can it be done? And then I remembered, like, well, there is a different strategy this time that the Justice Democrats are, one of several attempts to run progressive candidates to move the Democratic Party not only left, but forward in a progressive way. And, Rainbow Push, Our Revolution, Democracy for America, and then many in between, smaller organizations less well known. And the thing that's different this time is that the Justice Democrats do have a sister organization. So the Justice Democrats are going to be challenging from the left, progressive left, liberal side of the political spectrum, against corporate owned and operated and bought and bossed Democratic members of the Congress. And so Justice Democrats are coming from the left. What's different from previous attempts to do that is that they have a sister organization called Brand New Congress, which is coming from the right, attempting to unseat the same type of corporate owned, bought and bossed Republican members of Congress from a conservative angle. And so, not only that, that brand new Congress will also be running independents in the case that the primary challengers attempting to unseat incumbents, if they fail to do that in the primary, they're going to go to a backup plan, which is running independents. And so I think that's a new strategy that I haven't seen yet. If it has been done, it's been in a very secretive way where no one can fight it in me that they were doing that. And so that might be what's different. We'll just have to see if it works. But for now, I'm going to talk about one of the candidates that I've been notified that are going to hopefully be drafted. This person has been nominated to the Justice Democrats by someone who considered this person a good bet or a good candidate to unseat, a good representative of the platform. And so they've been nominated, been vetted, and now there's an attempt to draft this person, apparently to convince this person to run for that seat. This is Cori Bush. She's in Missouri. She was a Berniecrat in the 2016 primary last year. She ran for U.S. Senate for Missouri as a Berniecrat. She was listed on the Berniecrats page. And that's how I remember her name. I was pulling for her. I was pulling for most of the Berniecrats. She did not make it through, but never fail. People have remembered her and still believe in her. And so someone nominated her, and now there's an attempt to actually draft her. Not to run for U.S. Senate, but to run for U.S. House in the 1st District of Missouri, which is the St. Louis area. And so there's more information about Cori Bush. She's a pastor. Let's see, where's my information? Okay, here it is. let's see. She was involved holding the front line of the Ferguson protest for over 400 days. And then she also continued their calls for police reform even after the cameras left that area. And so she continues to fight today as co-director of the Truth Telling Project, working to increase awareness of police misconduct while empowering citizens to take action in combating it. And so police reform is a pretty hot topic in Missouri lately, the St. Louis area, of course, Ferguson, and that it's resonated to the point that it is informing today's races still. I already spoke of the mayoral race where there was a progressive challenger on the Democratic side against a centrist Democrat who raised a lot of money. And so the progressive lost by just a couple of decimal points, or by 2%. And then I did point out that there's still a progressive in the race. This is Jonathan McFarland running as a Green, also on a platform for police reform and many other Green type issues as well, including the environment, public education, infrastructure, and jobs, and things like that. So Cori is making this effort, hopefully, if she accepts her draft, if she accepts the mission and puts the glasses on and sees what the mission again is, and then throws the glasses away when they explode. It might go like that. But anyway, she's a registered nurse, and so she understands the healthcare crisis that we're facing, and the healthcare system. And she knows that, it's not a good idea to allow the Republican Party to drag America back to where people used to be, kind of, a few steps further than where the Affordable Care Act took us. She's definitely willing to fight for healthcare as a human right, and also willing to fight for Medicare for all, not just saying for single payer and then getting real quiet when it comes time to actually advance that legislation, that she is willing, if drafted, if nominated into or voted into the Congress, that she will actually fight for it. I've been looking at I've been keeping track of excuse me, John Conyers' HR 676 expanded healthcare, Medicare for all bill that's been introduced in the House this past January. It's up to 65 co-sponsors. It started with 51, and it's up to 65. There were some more late additions once the Republican version of the Health Care Act came out, and I think that drove some more House members to go ahead and co-sponsor. There needs to be more. But again, some people are kind of quiet. Frankly, I'm wondering where Tulsi Gabbard is on this issue, since Hawaii, her home state, is actually currently working on a universal health care plan right now in their legislature, their state legislature. So, I don't know about that. But anyway, Cori is willing to fight. And so she knows that lifting people out of poverty is the key to reducing crime. She wants to replace the school to prison pipeline with the school to prosperity pipeline. And that she knows that rubber bullets and tear gas will not transform a community for the better. That affordable education and good jobs with living wages can do that. And so that's what one of the types of people being drafted by the Justice Democrats, apparently progressive, Bernie leaning, Cori Bush, who's about healthcare, about education, about police reform, about community activism. And so I wanted to add on that I actually got this information from the Brand New Congress Facebook page. It's actually linked. It's actually, she's a Justice Democrats nominee, and I'm assuming that she is going to be running as a Democrat for that reason. But since the Brand New Congress is like the sister organization, I went there and I found this. And then I also found other information at the Brand New Congress, some statistics, and I'll read them out. 20% of the U.S. Senate, 19% of the House of Representatives, 24% of statewide offices, 51% of the U.S. population. And they're talking about women, that women are 51% of the U.S. population, but only 20% of the U.S. Senate, and then only 19% of the House of Representatives, and then 24% of statewide offices. And so it seems like the goal is between the Brand New Congress and the Justice Democrats to actually draft a slate of candidates that actually resemble the U.S. population. So they are actively seeking female candidates to run for office. And so, they are pretty much adhering to their platform. It seems like there's a lot of resistance, I'll say, challenges with getting more women into the Congress, but I do think it's necessary and needed, based on the legislation that we see going through at the federal level in both houses. That's actually kind of horrific in this day and age. That's very detrimental and hostile to women's rights. And then also the state legislature, where it gets even more sinister because people don't always watch at the state level. And so hopefully more women will not only be drafted, but also stand up themselves and say, you know what, I'm going to do what I need to do to make things more representative of women's interests. And so I do hope more women run for office. Cori Bush is apparently contemplating running again for Missouri. We'll see what Missouri says about that. Hopefully they say something good and she goes to Washington. I think that would be terrific. Good luck.